He built his entire life around one promise, that one day he would wear the crown, lead the family, and finally step out of his father's shadow. But what if the one man standing in his way is his own father? Right now, tonight, Buckingham Palace is silent. The cameras keep flashing, smiles are being forced for the photographers, and behind those palace walls, insiders are whispering that something has shifted, something big enough that it could change Prince William's entire future. Is King Charles protecting the monarchy, or is he quietly rewriting the rules of succession right under his own son's nose, without William even realizing how deep it goes? By the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why royal insiders are calling this the biggest rift the House of Windsor has seen in years. So stay with me till the very end, because what happens next could decide who really rules Britain for decades to come. For years, the world watched William being groomed as the future king. Poised, disciplined, the picture of modern royalty, always standing loyally beside his father at every major event, every Christmas photo, every state occasion. The public saw unity. The public saw a king and his heir, side by side, ready to carry the crown into the future together. But behind that picture-perfect image, according to multiple royal insiders speaking to outlets like Woman's Day and Reality Tea, the relationship between King Charles and his heir has quietly collapsed to what one source bluntly called an all-time low. And the reason will shock you, because it isn't politics, it isn't money, it isn't even the palace's public image. It's one man neither of them can agree on: Prince Harry. Since Harry's recent visit to the UK to meet the king face-to-face, sources say the tension inside the palace hasn't just continued. It has exploded, and William is said to be absolutely furious about how his father is handling it. Could one decision about a black sheep brother really be enough to shake the entire foundation of the British monarchy? Keep watching, because what I'm about to tell you next is even more shocking than you think. Here's where it gets real. And this is the part royal watchers cannot stop talking about. According to a bombshell report, King Charles has reportedly blocked William from being part of crucial talks regarding Harry's return to the UK, high-level talks that could reshape the entire family's public image for years to come. Not consulted, not informed, blocked. William is said to be feeling betrayed, reportedly pressing his own father for answers, only to be told, in Charles's own reported words, that it's simply none of his business at this point. Sit with that for a second. The future King of England, the man who will one day carry the entire weight of the British monarchy on his shoulders, allegedly shut out of a decision that could define his own reign before it's even begun. Doesn't that sound like a massive warning sign to you? Or is there something even deeper going on here that the palace is desperately trying to keep hidden from the public eye? Because insiders say this is only the beginning. Sources close to the family suggest William genuinely believes his father is prioritizing personal feelings over the long-term stability of the very institution William is about to inherit. One insider claims William has repeatedly privately tried to persuade Charles to reconsider his softening stance toward Harry, pleading with him almost every chance he gets. But according to the report, the Prince of Wales allegedly feels that his efforts have achieved little. Just stop and imagine that for a moment. Spending your entire life preparing to lead a nation, only to watch the very person training you make choices you believe could quietly damage everything you've worked so hard to protect. Is this simply a father clinging to hope for reconciliation with his estranged son? Or is it something far more dangerous, something that could genuinely threaten the stability of the crown itself? The palace, of course, insists everything is business as usual. But royal watchers and body language experts have pointed out something almost impossible to ignore once you see it. During recent public appearances, multiple sources describe William and Charles as being performative, flashing practiced, camera-ready smiles for the world, while behind closed doors, the cracks are reportedly widening by the week. Royal journalist Robert Jobson, speaking on a recent episode of the Royalist podcast, asked a question that is now echoing across royal circles everywhere. A question that should honestly worry anyone watching this unfold. Is King Charles unknowingly creating a problem so big that William will be forced to deal with it the very moment he takes the throne? Jobson didn't stop there. He directly compared this to the late Queen Elizabeth's complicated, painful relationship with Prince Andrew, warning that history may be dangerously close to repeating itself. And if a decision made today, quietly, behind palace doors, ends up shaping the entire future of the British monarchy, Wouldn't you want to know exactly what's happening before the rest of the world catches up? And this is where the story takes its most dramatic turn yet, because insiders now claim there isn't just one decision fueling William's frustration. There are reportedly two. First, William apparently believed Charles should have been a lot harsher in how he handled the fallout involving Prince Andrew, feeling his father let things slide dangerously when firmer, decisive action was desperately needed. Then, just when tensions seemed to be cooling down, the second blow reportedly landed even harder. Charles's continued quiet effort at a peace truce with Harry, a move that, according to the source, left William even more convinced that his father's judgment on family matters is now way off. Two decisions, one deepening rift, and a future king reportedly forced to swallow his frustration in public, all while, according to insiders, his private trust in his own father's leadership keeps eroding day after day. So next time you see William standing beside his father at a royal engagement, smiling for the cameras, doesn't it make you wonder what's really going on behind those eyes? So what does all of this actually mean for William's future, his real future, the one no one can see yet? Royal watchers are sharply divided, and the debate is getting louder by the day. Some believe this is simply a normal, painfully human family disagreement, a father desperately trying to heal old wounds with his younger son, while his elder son struggles to accept it, the kind of tension that plays out in countless families, royal or not. But others argue this goes far, far deeper than that. They say it's about power, about control, about who truly holds the final say in decisions that will shape the entire institution for generations. And more than anything, it raises one unsettling question. Does William, even as heir apparent, actually have as much influence over his own future as the public has always assumed? Because if the king can override his son's wishes today, while William is merely Prince of Wales, what happens tomorrow, when William himself is king and faces his own version of this exact same dilemma, with no one left above him to answer to? Is this the exact moment, quietly, invisibly, shaping the kind of king William will eventually become? And here's the part that should really make you sit up. The timing could not be more explosive. With Harry reportedly set to return to the UK again next month for a fresh series of engagements, just weeks after Meghan and their children reportedly met privately with the king, the pressure inside the palace isn't fading. It's building, fast. Every meeting is being watched. Every headline is being dissected. Every carefully worded palace statement is now being scrutinized for the hidden meaning behind it. And standing right at the center of all of it is William, the future king, reportedly feeling sidelined by the very father he is destined to succeed, forced to watch decisions about his own family's future being made entirely without him. Whatever happens next, one thing seems undeniable. This isn't just a story about two brothers anymore. This is a story about who will ultimately shape the future of the entire British monarchy, and whether William will inherit a united institution, or one still quietly fractured by decisions made long before he ever gets the chance to wear the crown himself. But here's something even more telling that most people have completely missed. Royal watchers have started digging into the smaller details, the things the palace never announces out loud, but that speak louder than any official statement ever could. William's public schedule, insiders point out, has quietly shifted in recent weeks. Engagements that would normally have him standing shoulder to shoulder with his father have reportedly been restructured, spaced out, handled separately. Coincidence? The palace would say yes. But royal commentators are now openly asking whether this is the first visible sign of William deliberately creating distance, not out of disrespect, but as a quiet, calculated statement that he intends to build his future reign on his own terms, not simply as an extension of his father's choices. Because remember, this is a man who has already reportedly reduced certain official duties to pursue what insiders call a more modern monarchy, a phrase that sounds harmless on the surface but according to one source has left Charles extremely disappointed, feeling as though his own son is quietly stepping back from the very responsibilities that hold the institution together. Two men, two very different visions for what the crown should look like, and only one throne. What happens when the future king's idea of modern royalty collides head-on with the sitting king's idea of tradition and loyalty to family? That collision, insiders warn, may already be underway. And then there's the question nobody in the palace wants to answer publicly. What does Queen Camilla think of all this? Sources close to the family suggest she has quietly tried to play peacemaker between father and son, urging Charles to keep communication open with William even as he pursues reconciliation with Harry. But other insiders paint a very different picture, one where Camilla, like Charles, has grown weary of what she reportedly sees as William's rigid refusal to consider any path back for his brother. If that's true, then this isn't just a rift between a king and his heir anymore. It's a fault line running through the entire heart of the family, one that could determine not just who William chooses to trust when he finally takes the throne, but who he chooses to keep close, and who he quietly pushes to the margins the moment the crown is finally his. Every family has its version of this story. Very few play it out in front of the entire world, with millions of people like you and me watching every headline, dissecting every photograph, waiting for the next shoe to drop. Now let's talk about something the mainstream royal reporters have barely touched on: how the British public itself is reacting to all of this. Because remember, the monarchy doesn't just answer to itself. It answers, ultimately, to the people it represents. And royal commentators have noticed a growing shift in public sentiment. A generation that grew up watching William as the steady, reliable future king is now starting to ask harder questions. Is he being sidelined because Charles doesn't trust his judgment? Or is William deliberately positioning himself as the more disciplined, more by-the-book royal, quietly building public sympathy for the day he finally takes charge? Some polls circulating among royal watchers suggest public trust in William's leadership has actually grown during this exact period of tension, while questions about Charles's handling of the Harry situation have only intensified. If that's true, then this isn't just a private family struggle anymore. It's playing out, whether the palace likes it or not, in the court of public opinion, and every decision Charles makes from here on out is being measured against how it will shape William's image as the king Britain will eventually get. History, as royal historians love to remind us, has a habit of repeating itself inside this family. Queen Elizabeth famously kept her own counsel on family disputes for decades, often leaving her heir, then Prince Charles, in the dark about decisions that directly affected his own future role. Sound familiar? Some insiders are now drawing an eerie parallel. Is Charles, without even realizing it, repeating the exact same pattern his own mother used on him? The pattern he reportedly resented for years? If so, that raises a haunting question. Will William, once he's king, do the very same thing to his own children one day? Or will this entire experience, watching his father shut him out of major decisions, shape him into a completely different kind of monarch, one determined never to repeat his father's mistakes? Either way, insiders suggest this moment may be quietly writing the first chapter of William's eventual reign, long before he ever puts on the crown. And here's the twist that has royal insiders buzzing the most right now. Some sources claim William isn't just frustrated. He's reportedly begun quietly consulting his own trusted advisors, separate from his father's inner circle, about how he would handle the monarchy's relationship with Harry differently once he's king. If true, that's massive. That would mean William isn't just reacting to his father's decisions anymore. He's already, privately, planning to undo them the moment the throne becomes his. Imagine that. An heir apparent, still years away from the crown by most estimates, already quietly preparing to reverse his own father's legacy decisions the second he gets the chance. Is that smart, forward-thinking leadership? Or is it a dangerous sign of just how deep this rift has actually become? The palace, naturally, has offered no official comment, but insiders say that silence itself is telling. Let's zoom out for a second, because there's another piece of this puzzle that rarely gets mentioned: William and Kate's own household. The family made a major move in recent months, relocating to Forest Lodge in Windsor Great Park, a home insiders say is meant to be their base even after William becomes king. Why does that matter here? Because it signals something important. William isn't just reacting to palace politics day by day. He's already building the physical and personal foundation of his future reign, brick by brick, while these tensions with his father play out in the background. Add to that the fact that Prince George, still just a young teenager, is edging closer to the age where royal duties and public expectations start creeping into view. And suddenly this isn't just a story about two grown men disagreeing over Harry. It's a story about an entire generational shift quietly happening in real time, a shift Charles may be trying to steer, and one William may be trying to steer in a completely different direction. To be fair, it's worth stepping back and saying this clearly. Most of what's driving this story right now comes from anonymous palace insiders and sources speaking to celebrity and royal tabloids, not official statements from Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace themselves. Neither King Charles nor Prince William has personally confirmed a rift, a blocked meeting, or a plan to reverse policy once William becomes king. It's entirely possible this is exactly what royal insiders sometimes call silly season, a normal human family disagreement blown up by a media industry that thrives on royal drama. But here's the thing about the monarchy. Even unconfirmed tension at the very top has a way of shaping how the public sees the institution and how historians write about it decades from now. Whether this fades into nothing or turns into one of the defining relationships of William's future reign, that's something only time, and the two men at the center of it, can decide. So here's the real question I want to leave you with tonight. If you were in William's position, trained your entire life to lead, only to be shut out of decisions that will directly shape your own future reign, would you push back harder, fight for your place at the table? Or would you stay silent, wait patiently, and let your moment on the throne speak for itself? Drop your honest answer in the comments below, because I read every single one, and I genuinely want to know what you think is really happening behind those palace walls right now. If this video kept you hooked until the very last second, do me one favor, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications, because trust me, the House of Windsor is nowhere close to finished writing this chapter, and when the next explosive twist drops, you are going to want to be the very first one to know. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.